In this video, I'm going to show you how I got 3 A stars and 1 A in my A-levels without studying 10 hours a day. And I'm going to do that by giving you this 3-step framework that you could literally use and apply in your next study sessions. Because if you're here right now, I'm guessing most of you don't want to be studying 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours just to get those A's and A stars. You want to actually have a life in school. My name is Matthew, and for those who don't know me, I graduated high school as valedictorian, I was basketball captain, and I was even creating content while during exam season. So like last year, year 13, I was literally creating content while doing all of these things and studying for my A-level exams. And so you know for a fact that I'm definitely not studying 10 hours a day like some other friends of mine are doing. So the first thing you need to know is you need a system. What do I mean by a system? A system is simply a series of processes that helps you go from here to here. If you don't have a system, you might as well just drop out of school because you'll be studying aimlessly with no goal in mind. You'll literally feel burnt out, demotivated because you don't know how to actually study. And it took me years to find a study system that helped me get 3 A stars and 1 A in my A-levels. It's the same system that I teach inside my premium community, A-star students. I literally teach all of the things at such a higher depth than in this video. But in this video, I'm just going to give you the overview of what I actually do to get 3 A stars and 1 A in my A-levels. So, first things first, you gotta stop taking notes. You must stop taking notes. Guys, taking notes is a complete waste of time. It's a complete waste of time. Why? Because in year 12, I actually did try to take notes in class. I remember one time I would go to my business class, I would sit down, open my notebook, and then jot down every single thing that the teacher would say. Guess what? I ended up remembering nothing. And after 2 weeks have passed and I had to review for the exam, I literally had to re-study the entire stuff again, waste a ton of time just to, get better scores in my weekly test and not like get cooked by the exam. So, taking notes, complete waste of time. And for some of the girls who are watching this, no hate or anything, but some of you guys love taking pretty notes. On Instagram, I recently scrolled on Instagram and I searched Instagram notes in the For You in the search bar. The first thing I got was these pretty diagrams with the highlighters and all the pens and all those things. And I'm like, bro, this is not the way to take notes. Because if you take notes like this, you're gonna end up remembering 5% of what you actually write down. So you spent maybe 5 hours making your notes detailed and pretty and all those highlighters and all that stuff without actually remembering anything. So that is just not a good way to study. So a way better alternative that I have for you is something called RemNote. RemNote is a flashcard app. If you don't know what a flashcard is, it's basically you have the question on the front, you click the flashcard and you reveal the answer at the back. RemNote is literally the best app for that. Plus, it's also a note-taking app disguised as a flashcard app. So you can literally, instead of taking notes, you can put it into RemNote. And when you generate flashcards in RemNote, guess what? The app spaces your cards, uses active recall, uses spaced repetition, helps you study so much more effectively. So you need to be using RemNote instead of notes. If you don't know what RemNote is, you might have heard of Anki. But the reason why I prefer RemNote over Anki is because RemNote is just so much nicer to use overall. The interface is so much nicer and they're both free. So might as well choose the better option, right? So now, when you think of flashcards, you're probably thinking of Quizlet. I'm sorry to say this, but Quizlet is trash. Quizlet sucks. Do not use Quizlet. I know your teachers will probably have pre-made decks for you on Quizlet. Please do not use these decks because the teachers don't know what they don't know what they're talking about. These teachers don't know what active recall or spaced repetition are. And these two things, if you're trying to study without active recall, without spaced repetition, you will get cooked. I promise you, you will get cooked. So you must use active recall and spaced repetition. And the best app to do that is using RemNote. So you can literally bring your laptop to class, type in flashcards as you're listening to the teacher, and then do the flashcards when you go home. So much more effective. I promise you, you will start getting A's and A stars and in less time. This is the best way to do it. Secondly, no more textbook questions. Please, 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 no more textbook questions. Textbook questions don't even come up on the past paper. Okay, maybe if you're in university, maybe textbook questions will come up in the past papers. But chances are, if you're taking the IGCSE or A-level exams, bro, you do not need a textbook. You do not need a textbook at all. Because what ends up happening is you go through your textbook, you do textbook questions, and you will realize that when you're doing past papers, the question styles are completely different. So right now I've printed a past paper. It's 9709 A-level Pure Mathematics, paper 3. The textbook questions are sometimes nowhere close to what they ask you in this past paper. So I'm telling you right now, if you want to study more effectively, stop doing textbook questions. They are a complete waste of time. So how do you do past papers better? How do you do past papers more effectively? Well, there is one tip that I teach inside A-star students, and I go into so much detail on this tip. It's called the error booklet. So an error booklet is basically a Google document of all of the hard past paper questions that you were not able to do in the past. So here's how I use the error booklet. As I'm doing past paper questions and as I'm marking these past paper questions, if I get any of them wrong or I just don't know how to do them at all, I am literally taking a screenshot of the past paper and putting it into a separate Google Doc for me to review periodically. So I'll be marking this question and I'll be like, okay, I got this completely wrong. I don't know how to do this. Screenshot it, put it into a Google document. It doesn't have to be fancy, just a Google document, and then do the questions again periodically. This tip is so powerful because it literally prioritizes your weaknesses. If you don't target your weak topics, you will get cooked. So that's the study system that you should use. The second thing that you need to know is how to manage your time. Guys, if you're not using a Google Calendar, if you don't have a Google Calendar app installed on your phone, you guys are missing out. Because Google Calendar is such an important tool that I use in university that without this app, I would literally not be able to run my day off a schedule. And I would be so scattered and I would not be as productive as I did if I had used Google Calendar. So Google Calendar, your step right now is to go on your phone, install this app called Google Calendar. You do it right now. So here's a screenshot of what my timetable looks like. Without this Google Calendar, I don't know what I'm doing and I don't know when I'm doing it. So most likely I'm just going to scroll and play video games and watch Netflix. At least that was me when I was in year 10 and year 11 because I didn't have a schedule pre-planned. What I also use is Notion. Now this is optional. Notion is honestly a pretty good tool to use overall, but I use a combination of Google Calendar and Notion. I use the Notion one where I plan out the week, like a macro big picture of what I'm going to do this week, and then I put those time blocks inside my Google Calendar. The next piece of advice I have for you regarding time management is something called the 80-20 rule. What is the 80-20 rule? The 80-20 rule states that 20% of the things that you do lead to 80% of the things. The 80-20 rule states that 20% of the things that you do lead to 80% of the results. And 80% of the things you do only lead to 20% of the results. So in other words, imagine you're doing 10 things right now. Only 2 of those things will lead you to get 80% of the results. But basically, the 80-20 rule, how you can apply into your own life, is to eliminate all of the things that are not getting you towards your goal. So I'm going to draw a little diagram to illustrate this point. So this is you, this is your goal. Without using the 80-20 rule, you're going to be scattered in so many different directions at once. You're going to be doing this, you're going to be playing video games, watching social media, hanging out with friends, improving your basketball skills without actually getting to the end goal, which is your 3 stars or whatever grades that you want in your A-levels. So without using this 80-20 rule to identify the stuff that actually leads you to the goal, you're going to be scattered. So I know this sounds harsh right now, but you must eliminate all the things that are not getting you towards this goal. So once you actually eliminate all these little arrows that don't lead you to the goal and replace them with focused bouts of energy and things that actually move the needle, you will get to your goal 100%. When I was taking my A-levels, when I was during exam season, for months in advance, I would be locking myself not in the study room with all of the other students where they're talking, playing Brawl Stars, and scrolling on social media. I would actually be locked in a teacher's classroom. So I would go to a teacher's classroom, ask them, hey, do you have a class right now? If you don't, can I please come and study in your classroom for 1.5 hours? And most of the time, 95% of the time, if they don't have a class, they are more than happy to oblige. I literally had to say no to all the hangout events, all the things. Like my friends would come and tell me, hey Matthew, do you want to come and chill with us in the study room? Maybe you guys want to play some music together? And most of the time, I would decline. Not because I was an asshole, not because I was arrogant, but because I needed to focus my attention on winning the prize. So that is the level of what you must do if you want to become successful, not just in your exams, but in life as well. You need to identify the things that don't actually matter and to focus on the things that actually get you to where you want. So last thing you need to know is exams. Look, the sad truth is that you could spend hours and hours studying, preparing for exams, but if you choke and if you panic on your exams, you will get cooked. Because the exam is not just about how much information you actually remember, it's about how much information you're able to apply under strict exam conditions. This means no music, no breaks, and no cheating. You can't go and check the mark scheme like you usually do, right? Like I used to do this. I would do my past paper, then I would glance at the mark scheme, write the answer down, and think to myself that I was actually being productive. That's a complete lie. That did not help me at all, and as a result, I didn't get such good grades. So you must time yourself. You must do timed past paper questions under strict exam conditions. By the way, I teach you the exact exam strategies that I use to get 3 stars and 1A in my A-levels in my paid community, my premium community, A-star students. That's A-star students. There's literally everything in there for you. Exam guides, mindsets, tips to actually apply during the exams that most people don't even know about to help you calm your nerves and to get those A's and A-stars that you want. So, first thing you must do is to do timed past paper questions. Why? Because timed past paper questions allow you to see whether you're actually making it in the exam or not. You could be getting 70 out of 70, you could be getting 65 out of 70 in your mock past papers, your mock past paper drills, but if you don't actually time yourself, if you don't actually set a timer to do those past paper questions, believe me, when the exam comes, you are going to run out of time. The exams are not just about how much you remember, it's about how fast you're able to do those questions as accurately as possible. It's not simply, oh, if I understand this concept, I'm able to succeed on the exam. No, it's whether you're able to understand and apply them under strict, stressful, high pressure, high stakes exam environments. So the best way to do this is to do something called exposure therapy. This is something that I learned in psychology. I don't study psychology, but I just know this. There's this thing called exposure therapy. Basically, if you expose to something that you find scary long enough, over time, you will start to get more desensitized to it. The best way to do this is to simulate real-world exam conditions. This means no doing past paper questions on your iPad. Do not do the questions on your iPad. Actually print them out, print them out like I've done over here, and do those questions. Fill out your name, fill out your candidate details, everything to make it seem like and to trick your brain to feel like it is an actual exam. Because if you can trick your brain to think that it is an actual exam, you will succeed in the real exam because you've done the real exam before multiple times in the past. You get what I'm saying here? So every single time you do a timed past paper, think of it as if you are doing the real exam under real exam conditions. So here's some extra tips that I have for you regarding exposure therapy. Number 1, wear your school uniform. If you don't wear your school uniform, you will not feel like you're in the actual exam. So you need to be wearing your school outfit. Number 2, bring only the material that you're supposed to bring. So if you're doing a past paper for maths, you're probably going to bring a pen and a pencil and a calculator and nothing else. These are probably the only 3 things that you are allowed to bring into the exam. So this means no other accessories, no other things that you could use to gain an advantage in the exam. So no cheating. Don't bring anything that you're not supposed to bring into the exam. And make sure, lastly, this is the last point I want to give you, make sure that you're in a quiet room with no distractions. Because in the exam room, everyone is trying to get the best marks on their exam. They're fully focused and they're fully in the present and there's no distractions at all. So you must simulate that sort of environment. Hence why I used to study in my teacher's classroom all the time. The last thing that I want to share for exams is this tip called visualizations. This is something that I teach inside A-Star students as well, and I go into so much more detail on how to actually visualize yourself being in the exam and all that stuff. But in essence, visualization is a tool, it's a mental strategy that you can use to destroy your exam anxiety before the exams. So when I was taking my A-level computer science, A-level maths, A-level business exams, every single night leading up to the exam, I would visualize myself doing extremely well in the exam. Why does this work? I know this sounds like complete pseudoscience, but why does this work? Well, the top athletes around the world actually use visualizations. Kobe Bryant, in an interview that I've watched on YouTube, he literally said that before the game against the Houston Rockets, he would visualize himself playing with full confidence and scoring bucket after bucket after bucket and eventually winning the game. By the way, all of these tips that I'm teaching you right now, all of these frameworks and strategies, I have them all inside A-Star students, plus a couple of other ones that I don't have time to cover in today's video. So in A-Star students, we literally have everything that you need to know and you need to have in order to ace your exams. We even have custom-made RemNote decks that I have created in the past. We have all the learning systems, productivity tactics, and everything you need to just succeed in your A-level exams. So check out A-Star students. First link in the description, that's A-Star students. So once you actually apply all of these 3 tips while studying for your A-level exams, I guarantee you, if you actually use these things, you will get A's and A-stars in your exams. You will start seeing results really, really quickly. And I'm not joking, because after I started using RemNote, error booklet, started doing past papers correctly under timed conditions, I started improving my grades so much. And if you want to do the same, you can check out my community, A-Star Students. It's linked below, first link in the description. But as always, may God guide us on the right path, and I'll see you in the next video.